Forbes' real-time list placed Jeff Bezos in the top tier, with wealth still primarily tied to Amazon. This episode is not about admiring money for its own sake. It is a business case study. How the fortune was built, what assets drive it, what setbacks shaped it, and what a normal viewer can actually learn from it. Jeff Bezos did not build only an online store. He built a demand machine. The first product category was books because books were searchable, shippable, and fragmented. But books were the doorway, not the destination. Amazon expanded by making selection wider, delivery faster, and buying easier. Then it turned third-party sellers into a marketplace. Then it built Prime, which made customers buy more often. Then it built Oz, turning internal computing infrastructure into one of the most important cloud businesses in the world. The surprising lesson is that the retail company became a technology infrastructure company. Oz gave Amazon a second profit engine and made Bezos' wealth less about selling packages and more about owning digital plumbing. Bezos' public principles are unusually consistent: customer obsession, high standards, long-term thinking, and day-one culture. He was willing to accept thin near-term profits to build capability and scale. But the setbacks are real. Amazon has faced labor criticism, marketplace complaints, regulatory pressure, and failed experiments. Scale creates power, and power invites scrutiny. The lesson for the public is patient system building. Start with the customer, build repeatable processes, and let improvement compound. The major business and asset map is Amazon, AWS, Prime, Marketplace, Advertising, Blue Origin, The Washington Post. The publicly documented lifestyle angle is Miami residence, Blue Origin spaceflight, philanthropy through the Bezos Earth Fund, and publicly reported high-end assets including the yacht Koru. The main work principles are customer obsession, long-term reinvestment, high standards, day-one culture. The main setbacks and risks are dot-com crash, labor criticism, antitrust scrutiny, failed product bets. Now look at the fortune like an editor reading a balance sheet. The headline number is dramatic, but the mechanism matters more. Jeff Bezos' wealth is not sitting mostly as cash in a bank account. It is tied to ownership, market valuation, private company estimates, and assets that move as investors reassess the future. That means the fortune can change quickly, sometimes by billions in a day, without the person buying or selling anything. That is why the asset engine matters. In this case, the main map is Amazon, AWS, Prime, Marketplace, Advertising, Blue Origin, The Washington Post. Each asset tells a different part of the story. Some create operating profit. Some create strategic control. Some create optionality, meaning they may not be the biggest source of wealth today, but they could matter more if the market shifts. There is also a timing lesson. Huge fortunes usually come from being early to a structural change and then staying exposed to it for a long time. The change might be electric transportation, search advertising, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, enterprise software, social networking, sports franchises, or global retail logistics. The public often sees the famous person after the outcome is obvious. The wealth was usually created years earlier, when the bet still looked uncertain. This is where the business map matters. The companies, products, and ownership stakes explain far more than the headline ranking. Viewers should understand the difference between salary, revenue, profit, ownership, and net worth. A billionaire ranking is not the same thing as cash. It is a mark-to-market estimate of claims on businesses and assets. The habit pattern is also worth separating from the mythology. The useful principles here are customer obsession, long-term reinvestment, high standards, day-one culture. These are not magic personality traits. They are repeatable work behaviors: choosing a hard problem, staying close to the product, using feedback, hiring strong people, managing risk, and making decisions with a longer time horizon than the average competitor. The lifestyle section should stay disciplined. The publicly documented angle is Miami residence, Blue Origin spaceflight, philanthropy through the Bezos Earth Fund, and publicly reported high-end assets including the yacht Koru. This belongs in the story because viewers expect it, but it should not become the story. The editorial framing is simple. Lifestyle shows what extreme wealth can buy, while the business engine shows how the wealth was created. The setback section is where the episode earns trust. The known risks and reversals include dot-com crash, labor criticism, antitrust scrutiny, failed product bets. These moments matter because wealth stories become misleading when they only show victories. Every empire has pressure points: regulation, execution, public trust, changing technology, debt, competition, succession, or consumer backlash. For ordinary viewers, the lesson is not to imitate billionaire behavior out of context. Most people cannot copy the capital base, access, timing, or tolerance for loss. But they can copy the clearer habits, learn a valuable skill, understand how money flows through a business, build or own productive assets, avoid lifestyle inflation too early, and think in years rather than days. The final beat should be practical, not worshipful. Ask, what did this person understand before most people did? What asset did they own while that insight became obvious to the world? What risk almost broke the story? And what is the smaller version of that lesson that a normal person can actually use? The practical lesson is clear. Wealth at this scale usually comes from ownership in a compounding asset. The viewer does not need billions to use the lesson. They need sharper judgment, useful skills, better risk control, and the patience to build or own things that become more valuable over time.